Hello and welcome to the April USDA Report webinar. My name is Tom Lilja, Market Analyst with Progressive Ag Marketing. Joining me today is President of Progressive Ag, Ray Grabansky, and Market Analyst Brian Strumman. Today we had the monthly stocks report from USDA. Brian, any surprises?
You know, that's a good question, Tom. The report came out this morning. Expectations were that we'd see a slight increase in wheat and corn stocks and a small reduction in soybeans, and basically close to that. We look at the corn stocks numbers. Again, they came in about 17 million bushels larger than what the trade estimates were. The difference there was that the feed and residual numbers were dropped by 50 million bushels. Ethanol was increased by 25 million bushels, and that was basically the difference in the report. As far as soybeans go, they were down 9 million bushels from trade estimates, and we did see a million bushel reduction in the wheat stocks. Ray, what do you see in the report? What do you think?
Well, you have to keep in mind a couple big picture things. These are 15, 16 numbers last year. And we already had March 31st acreage numbers this year. These aren't 16, 17 numbers. These are 15, 16 numbers, which are not even interesting right now to most traders. We're more interested really in, are we really going to plant 5 or 6% more corn acres, 5.6 million acres more, or and 9-10% less wheat acres? That was almost 5 million acres less. So soybeans down what was it, 700,000 or something. So people are really trading 16, 17 numbers. These are 15, 16 numbers. You know, they are adjustments, so I thought the 15, 16 numbers in corn were worth about a penny decline on the day. But we were up 6 or 7 cents, 8 earlier, even on the Saudis saying they're going to control crude oil. The biggest movement today in the market is crude oil, up $1.30 or $1.40. Wheat right now is trading up 6 cents. The report I thought was worth, you know, almost nothing, even down a little on wheat, not because of U.S. numbers, but because of the world or major exporter stocks use. But it's 15, 16 numbers. And we're trading 16, 17 now. We're really looking forward to that, which May is the first month that USDA comes out with any 16, 17 numbers. So we got to keep that in mind. On the other hand, so corn is up 2 cents, wheat is up 6 cents on the market today, and soybeans are up 1. We were up a lot more earlier. The market actually set us back. This report at 11 o'clock actually set us back a bit, but we're still higher for the day. So the market is trading the report as if it was a bit negative, and I thought it was a bit negative. Corn, maybe 2 or 3 cents, and a bit negative in wheat, mainly because of those world numbers. And you know, maybe 3-4 cents in wheat as well. But soybeans, it was actually maybe a little friendly. But soybeans actually were up 8 or 9, and now they're only up 1. So, you know, weather, maybe we really need to go back to the March 31st acreage and now talk about weather. And really, the market might be trading that and the Saudi deal. And this April report, 15, 16 numbers, which are old numbers, might be traded about how long it's been since the report came out. We're an hour after the report. It might be done. The report is done. It is not an interesting or earth-shattering report. Now we go back and trade. You know, that's done. We trade the weather. What's up there?
Well, yeah. We're also to that time of the year when Progressive Ag starts using our weekly yield models based off the weekly crop progress report. And, you know, any surprises with Monday's crop progress report?
You know, not really, Tom. You look at the average as far as corn planting, we saw those numbers for the first time yesterday. came in at 4% planted, and the 5-year average again is at 4%. The winter wheat conditions again did drop 3% last week, and that was a little bit of a surprise after being at 59% last week, good to excellent, down to 56% good to excellent this week. A year ago we were at 41% good to excellent. So a slight drop in the winter wheat conditions, and that offered some support early today. As far as the spring wheat planting, again 13% versus a 10% 5-year average. So a lot of it, like you said, Ray, is weather. We have been extremely wet in the Delta region. Some of those expanded acres that we saw in the March 31st report, again, we're going to be in the Delta region. So we'll be watching that weather closely. Looks like the weather warms up and dries up this week in the eastern Corn Belt, so we'll see some planting progress take place there. We did see some early weakness in the wheat market this week, again with some rain over the weekend in the southwestern plain states, but more of that is in the forecast for the upcoming weekend. So that's going to be closely monitored as we go forward.
Actually, to summarize though, man, I thought we had guys in wheat planting wheat, spring wheat, in the end of March, maybe like the 28th or so of March. In Montana, they were planting the last half of March. But in spite of as early as I thought we might be this year, the only thing we're really ahead of normal planting, according to our progress report yesterday, which is up to date, is a little bit ahead in spring wheat and just a little bit ahead in barley, not that much. And so essentially we were warm in March, but most farmers don't plant in March, and they aren't going to plant in March. They certainly aren't going to plant corn, maybe only wheat and corn, or wheat and, spring wheat and barley. And so then it got cold the first 10 days of April, and they just, what are we, April 12th? And they said, I can't plant now, it's too cold. So here we sit. We actually had no snow since mid-February here in most of the northern plains. And we really sit average planting progress in corn, average in almost everything else. Oat development's behind. Winter wheat development is actually behind. And at 3% decline each week in winter wheat, it started pretty good. But we normally decline 1 or 2% every week. And it's forecast to rain next week in the western Corn Belt, including the hardwood winter wheat region. So, it looks to me like about average weather, which is a surprise to me. I thought we were so much earlier than normal, but it is, after all, April 12th. We normally don't have anything done, and farmers said it was too early, the soil's too cold, or it will get too cold again, and they were right. It got cold.
That's a good point too, Ray. I think when you look at the planting progress, I had a customer just today actually send me a picture of his thermometer in the ground in Nebraska. Said no planting as of yet. The soil temperatures were 38 degrees, and that was on his thermometer in the ground. So again, planting progress is slow, but the ground is still cold.
I haven't shoveled snow in a month and a half, so must be early. I'm a market analyst, but I haven't put my temperature thermometer in the ground, and farmers do. It's too cold to plant. Corn anyway, not spring wheat and barley, but corn.
Well, another big issue that Progressive Ag Law has been working on here over the course of the last 4 months is the ARCO issue, county payment issue. Ray, any updates on that issue at all?
Yes, and Tom, you're planning on attending a meeting tomorrow in Hand County, South Dakota, where they received no payment. Yep. And we're looking into that issue. We've already discovered with preliminary numbers, we still are getting, final solid statistical numbers. In North Dakota, in the 2 counties, Lemoore and Logan, where we've got paid nothing, we had an RMA assigned yield, and RMA assigned yields are about 18% too high in those 2 small observations. But it was pretty consistent. That's a bad sign. If everybody, big if everybody is 18% too high that was assigned an RMA yield, or we've called it an RMA pie in the sky yield, or PITS yield, it's the PITS, because you probably lost your whole payment. Because the full payment in ARCO is the first 10% of the revenue you lost. If it's 18% too high, consistently in RMA PITS yields, then you're not going to get paid, or you're going to be paid less, even if you're at a bad crop in the county that yield's too high. Second thing, NAS yields in those 2 North Dakota counties. We thought NAS was the gold standard. I did until I saw those numbers. Now it's only 2 counties, but 6 years, once in a while they get it right. Sometimes they're low, maybe even 10, 20, 30%. And sometimes they're high, maybe even 10, 20, 30%. You know, 20, 30%, 10% is the whole payment. If you happen to be high, maybe there's a 20, 30% chance even with the NAS yield. You didn't get paid anything and you should have been paid even the maximum. Those numbers aren't that good, especially, and maybe we're looking only at counties that are not high in corn acreage. Maybe the NAS yields are golden in Iowa, Illinois, and Indiana, where they're just a massive corn acres. But in fringe counties, like I talked to some Colorado growers, directors on the corn growers who have been working on this issue, and they say, actually the NAS yields are terrible there. They got 5 counties paid that already that weren't paid initially. So things are happening there. Talked to 2 of the growers, the vice president, and another guy who's on the board, who's involved in another big ag multi-state organization, and they're working on it and they're getting things done. They've got an attorney, and it's a good one, and they're getting things done, and that's encouraging because we're working with those attorneys, not against them.
And that's a really good point. You know, the ARCO program was sold that the first 2 years of the Farm Bill would have the highest likelihood of payments, and many producers signed up for that program based on that analysis. So to have an effect like we've had in Lemoore and Logan counties has been very unfortunate, and you know, really our hats off to Ray for the groundwork that he's done here to bring this issue up. We're pretty positive that we will be able to affect some change, but it's taken a series of meetings, and for any farmers in Logan and Lemoore counties that were unable to attend our meetings here the last few months, we would encourage you to call our office and we can bring you up to speed on those details.
And maybe a good point is we're signing up farmers continuously to represent them, not just in North Dakota, but all over, on a legislative and lobbying effort. And, you know, we're working hard on that. We want to get good data to present to our legislators so that they can present it. Now, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, it's a great program. It was a good program. Guys got a choice, PLC or ARCO. Most everyone chose ARCO on corn and soybeans. Great program. Maybe Iowa, Illinois, Indiana mostly got paid properly. They have good data there. But in other fringe states, maybe it's not so good. Colorado and North Dakota are the most active, and they're saying it's not good. South Dakota is getting active. And I think eventually a lot of states, especially west of the Mississippi, will need to look at. Those payments are wrong. They were mostly assigned an RMA yield. They aren't good. They're consistently high. There might be a 90% chance. 80, 90, 70%. If you were assigned an RMA yield, you got paid less than you were entitled. So if you were assigned a NAS yield, even east of the Mississippi, there is a chance, maybe 10, 20, 30%, that you were paid, if you got the maximum, maybe it's $1 or $2 or $3 less than the maximum should have been. Maybe if you were paid nothing or less than the maximum, maybe it should have been more, depending on how accurate that NAS yield is. We don't have any data on that. We need to get some in some counties in every state. Check those numbers. See how good they are. And actually, are RMA yields, PITS yields, all over the country or just in North Dakota? We don't know. A lot we don't know. And a lot of information we could get. We'd like to.
Yeah, and we, you know, we really do appreciate the farmers that have been sharing their information in Logan and Lemoore counties. It's been, you know, there's no way we could have gotten there without good grassroots effort. Well, we're hoping we can have this wrapped up within a few months, but you know, at the end of the day, we just want to prove what that final number is, and that's taken a lot of time, a lot of work. We are thankful for the crop insurance companies that are cooperating in this matter, and like we said, we just want to prove what that actual number for 2014 is. If we're wrong, then we'll be the first to admit it, but we will not know that until we have that final number.
One thing is sure, we're thankful to the companies, agents, and farmers who have provided us, if not preliminary, and of course the farmer numbers are final. But in Colorado, one thing is also clear. They started a NAD appeal through an attorney, from what I understand. And before that was done, 5 counties were paid. It didn't even actually, from what I understand, it didn't go through the NAD appeal process. It was paid immediately. And so we know that actually FSA seems willing to, when someone asks them to correct something, at least in some cases they're willing to correct it. We'll see how true that holds as we go forward. But a good question that I have is, what do we need to do to get the farmers paid when we think it's been improperly done?
Well, Progressive Ag has also been working on another big issue. You mentioned we were talking about Arco-Ray, but we've also been focusing quite a bit on the Syngenta lawsuit. Could you bring the viewers up to speed on that matter?
Okay, maybe just an update. On our previous webinars, we've talked about this, maybe more than people would like who are watching it. But essentially, it's in a summary, Syngenta, a large agribusiness firm, international agribusiness firm, released a variety, Viptera, in 2010. In 2013, China detected it in their corn supply. They rejected all shipments of U.S. corn. They have a no-tolerance policy. And then there's lots of estimates from different sources of how much the price of corn went down as a result of that action. Corn went down for other reasons too. So the whole $4 price decline isn't Syngenta's fault, but maybe some of it is, and the court will determine that. As far as updates on where we're at, we're working with farmers, trying to sign up, help farmers sign up that might get certified by mid-May as a class action. And we're signing up farmers on an individual basis. Other attorneys are, and if you're represented by an attorney, great, stay there. I think we've said that repeatedly. If not, we'd like to represent you. This might be the biggest ag mass tort claim ever in the history of ag. Because let's say it's a 50-cent settlement, we got 90 million acres, about 13 billion of production. 50 cents would be a $6.5 billion settlement. That's a big. Might take a while though, could pay years before we get paid. ChemChina has a deal worked out to buy Syngenta for $43 billion. Whether or not that falls through or goes through, we don't know. But I think that the part about the class action being certified is important, because once it's certified, everyone is represented by an attorney, and we cannot ask you for your business. You will be represented by a class action if you're not already signed up with an attorney. And I would encourage growers, if you're not going to sign up with Progressive Ag Law and our national litigating partners, to sign up with some attorney. I think it would give you choices that you wouldn't otherwise have. I do have to say, too, our national litigating attorneys have really stepped to the plate to represent farmers, not only in Syngenta, but they're doing the ARCO issue, in a limited capacity on a pro bono basis, which means for free. And, I'm actually grateful, as farmers should be, to our national litigating attorneys for doing that.
We are happy to be working with Phipps Anderson Deacon in both the ARCO and the Syngenta matters, as they have experience standing up on behalf of the farmers, as this short video will explain.
My name is Martin Phipps, and I am from the great big town of Breckenridge, Texas. I grew up in a town I like to tell people had 3 stoplights. Those values you bring from a small town, being honest, telling the truth, and standing up and believing in something, is something that we do here at our firm.
I'm Barry Deacon. I'm originally from Arkansas, grew up in a family law firm. Farming's been a big part of my professional life in representing farmers and agricultural related entities my entire practice.
You may ask why hire Phipps, Anderson, and Deacon. The best answer I give you is because we are so proud to represent farmers that it's the most important thing when you walk into our building and see what we do.
Part of my background was being involved in representing a co-op of rice farmers against bare crop science in the rice litigation that began in 2006. With my background in the rice litigation, that's important because that was genetically modified rice that was being experimentally tested that contaminated the U.S. rice crops. That litigation is very, very similar to the Syngenta corn litigation where an unapproved trait was marketed to China.
What you're going to find out in this case is when Syngenta released Viptera to sell to you, they hadn't even applied to China for approval. Because of that, they took a risk, and that risk ended with you losing the China market. When you're choosing a lawyer to represent you in the Syngenta litigation, every lawyer is going to tell you that they're the best. We don't have to say anything to you. We just want you to look at our record. We are the lawyers who tried and won the rice case. We're the lawyers that developed the damage models. We're the lawyers that got the punitive damage verdicts. The rice case settled for $750 million. I'm very proud to tell you that my farmers, the people that I represented, got $50 million more than everybody else. We get asked every day, is this going to be a class action? And I want to make the answer real clear. We're not class action lawyers. We represent individual farmers against Syngenta and other big companies. And why do we do that? Because class actions don't help the clients. They only help the lawyers. Each one of you farm differently. Each one of your damages are different. So what we believe is we're going to represent you individually and not like some class action lawyer.
We are certainly not against the technology that Syngenta has come up with in producing their seed. We're actually for that technology because it's good for the American farmer. What we have a fault with is what Syngenta has done in marketing its corn. It's done it in an irresponsible way, and that has affected all of us.
I don't know about you, but we need more places to sell our corn, not less. And so all we're asking Syngenta to do is to stand up and do the right thing. The same thing you do every day when anybody comes to you with an issue. You may ask what makes us different at Phipps, Anderson, Deacon. The answer is simple, is we care. I've been on a combine and I know how hard it is to farm. And because I'm gonna make sure when I get done with this case and I come and sit in your living room, that you're proud that I'm your lawyer.
We're handling these cases on a contingency fee basis, which means we're not paid unless we successfully try or settle the lawsuit. And we will pay all the costs of litigation. We believe in this case and are putting our money where our mouth is. That's all for today's webinar. Thank you for joining us.